Welcome to this explainer. Okay, we're just going to dive right in today because we are tackling the ultimate archaeological cold case. We're looking at exactly how modern, high-tech archaeological detectives are trying to crack Egypt's absolute greatest unsolved mystery. We're heading straight to the front lines of archaeology, way past the usual desert tourist traps, and digging deep underground to look for secrets that could literally rewrite ancient history. So, where is the last pharaoh of Egypt? It's a simple question, right? But man, it is the central hook of our whole investigation today. It's this massive puzzle that has just haunted historians, scholars, and archaeologists for literal centuries. You know Cleopatra, right? She remains one of history's most enigmatic figures. She was a warrior, a totally unparalleled strategist, and the final ruler of a civilization that lasted for 3,000 years. And yet, her burial place? Completely unknown. Poof, gone. 2,000 years. Think about that for a second. That is exactly how long Queen Cleopatra has been missing. We all know the basic history, right? Back in 31 BC, after she formed these massive alliances with Julius Caesar and Mark Antony, her forces got cornered by the Roman navy led by Octavian. To avoid the utter humiliation of being paraded around as a Roman captive, legend says she committed suicide using the bite of a venomous snake. But from that exact moment onward, the location of her body completely vanished from the historical record. Now, to actually find her, we first have to figure out where not to look. If we trace the history of royal burials, we have to immediately cross off our first prime suspect, the famous Valley of the Kings. See, the Valley of the Kings is this massive, sprawling rabbit warren of 65 hidden tombs for New Kingdom pharaohs. But the thing is, Ramses XI actually abandoned it over 1,000 years before Cleopatra was even born. His unfinished tomb essentially marks the end of an era. So scratch that, the Valley of the Kings is definitely out. Section 2. Ruling out the obvious, Alexandria. Naturally, you'd probably assume a royal would just be buried in her own royal capital, right? Founded by Alexander the Great 2,300 years ago, this port city became the absolute seat of power for the Greek pharaohs, the Ptolemies, which is Cleopatra's family line. It seems like the most logical, no-brainer place to look. But there's a pretty massive problem. And that massive obstacle is water. The ancient city of Alexandria was actually hit by a series of just devastating earthquakes, meaning that a huge chunk of Cleopatra's capital now lies completely beneath the waves of the Mediterranean Sea. Researchers have literally spent decades diving into these waters. And sure, they've found incredible, mind-blowing pieces of the ancient port strewn all across the seabed. We're talking shards of pottery, huge structural columns, fallen obelisks, even what they think is a doorway to the famous Lighthouse of Alexandria. But despite all these amazing artifacts, absolutely zero sign of a royal cemetery for Cleopatra's family. Nothing. Which brings us to the Taposiris Magna hypothesis. What if we've just been looking in the completely wrong place this whole time? Enter Kathleen Martinez. She's a qualified lawyer turned archaeologist from the Dominican Republic, and for over a decade now, she has been relentlessly excavating a little-known temple called Taposiris Magna. It's about 30 miles west of Alexandria, and she is championing this totally radical hypothesis that Cleopatra is buried right there. And for Kathleen, this is deeply, deeply personal. She says, she threatened Rome, she achieved the impossible, and this is why she is my heroine, and I will try to do everything I can to find her tomb. Her passionate dedication here just injects so much real human emotion into the search. I mean, she literally gave up a successful law career to pursue this. It transforms the whole thing from a dry, dusty historical dig into a lifelong, deeply personal quest for justice for her heroine. And the crazy part? Her dedication is totally paying off. Over her years of digging at Taposiris Magna, Kathleen has uncovered this incredibly compelling trail of breadcrumbs. The mounting evidence includes structures proving the temple was fully functional during the Greek pharaoh era. But get this, they also discovered around 200 coins bearing Cleopatra's actual face. Imagine searching for your historical heroine and suddenly finding yourself literally face-to-face with her image on ancient currency. But the absolute most crucial piece of evidence here is the temple's deep, profound connection to the goddess Isis.
So here is the really crucial point. Cleopatra deliberately immortalized herself as the goddess Isis. Over at the vast temple of Dendera, hieroglyph experts have found depictions of Cleopatra wearing the symbolic headdress of Isis. You know, the cow horns, the sun disk, the ostrich feathers. Isis was famed for her powers of healing and protection, and she was absolutely adored by both Greeks and Egyptians. By presenting herself as the literal earthly incarnation of Isis, Cleopatra maintained the love and the full support of her people. And because of this incredibly deep bond, Kathleen Martinez believes a temple dedicated to Isis, like Tapissiris Mogna, is the perfect hiding spot for Cleopatra's tomb.
Decoding ancient hieroglyphs also reveals just how deeply obsessed Cleopatra was with ancient Egyptian traditions. Take the goddess Wadjet, for example. Often pictured as the Egyptian cobra, Wadjet was the ancient protector of the pharaohs. Remember the whole legend of Cleopatra's suicide by snakebite? By using the asp or cobra to end her life, she wasn't just, picking a random weapon. She was utilizing the ultimate royal symbol, intentionally linking her final moments on Earth to the deep, divine past of Egypt. It was a major PR move, even in death. Next up, high-tech forensic archaeology. To really grasp how these 2,000-year-old mysteries are actually being unraveled today, we need to step away from Tapissiris Magna for just a second. We're going to head about 500 miles south to the ancient necropolis of Kubet el Hawa in Aswan, where cutting-edge modern science is literally changing the entire game. Down at this site, archaeologist Alejandro Jimenez Serrano is unearthing these breathtaking, incredibly fragile artifacts, specifically death masks made of something called cartonnage. Cartonnage is this tough material, kind of like an ancient papier-mâché. It's made from layers of linen or recycled papyrus that's soaked in plaster and then molded directly to the deceased person's face. Now, back in the old days of archaeology, explorers would just rip these wrappings right apart to see what was hidden inside. But today, no way. Alejandro absolutely refuses to destroy them. Instead, his team utilizes this fascinating, totally non-invasive mummy analysis process. Step 1, under the cover of night, and with a heavy police escort no less, they carefully transport these intact mummies to a local Aswan University hospital. Step 2, they run the 2,000-year-old bodies through modern medical CT scanners to create complete 3D images. And step 3, they can magically determine age, gender, diseases, and even locate hidden funerary objects without ever making a single cut into those ancient bandages. It's brilliant. And the results they're getting are just stunning. During one of these late-night hospital scanning sessions, the 3D imaging revealed an elaborate carved winged scarab beetle amulet perfectly placed directly over a mummy's heart. In ancient Egyptian belief, the scarab symbolized rebirth, and this specific amulet would have been inscribed with spells to protect the soul and instruct the heart during the final judgment. Finding it totally untouched right in its original position is just a massive victory for non-invasive archaeology. A monumental discovery awaits? Okay, armed with a better understanding of these powerful high-tech tools, let's jump back to our main investigation. Because at Tapissiris Magna, Kathleen Martinez has found a really strange vertical shaft cut directly into the solid bedrock near the temple. And something incredible might just be waiting at the bottom of it. So she descends 20 feet underground, but bam, she immediately hits a massive obstacle. These 2,000-year-old tunnels carved into the bedrock, they are completely flooded with water. It is totally unsafe to walk or crawl through. The obvious solution here is motorized water pumps, but with local power cuts constantly shutting those pumps down and her government excavation permit expiring in literally a matter of days, this suddenly turns into a massive, nail-biting race against the clock. With the water pumps failing and time completely running out to physically explore those tunnels, Kathleen pivots. She brings in another piece of advanced tech, ground-penetrating radar, or GPR. This is highly sensitive, military-grade technology that fires radio wave pulses deep into the earth to map out hidden tunnels and cavities. So they bring this heavy-duty equipment in to scan up to 15 meters deep into the bedrock right outside the temple walls. And then, literally on the very last day of the digging season, the radar data finally comes back from the lab. Kathleen's reaction honestly says it all. She says, "I'm going to cry. This is the final stage of my search." That kind of visceral, totally emotional reaction, it tells you everything you need to know about the immense significance of what that radar just found beneath the earth.
Are you ready for this? The radar pinged a cavity that was a massive 10 meters long. That is over 30 feet wide, and it is sitting right there directly beneath the entrance to the Temple of Isis. A discovery of this magnitude points directly to our ultimate theory. Think about it. An underground chamber of this monumental size, carved completely out of solid bedrock, would have required an unbelievable amount of organized effort to build. You just don't put that kind of backbreaking effort in unless you are burying someone of immense historical importance. An Isis temple, a hidden underground shaft, a massive concealed chamber. It all points to this being the absolutely perfect hiding place for the royal burial chamber of Cleopatra.
Which brings us to the ultimate question. Will next season's dig finally unlock the 2,000-year-old mystery of the last pharaoh? Sadly, Kathleen's permit forces her to wait, which leaves us right on the absolute edge of history here. We've got the evidence, we've got the technology, and we literally have the exact coordinates. But until those ancient waters are drained, we have to ask ourselves, what else might be waiting in the dark with her? Thanks for joining this explainer, and definitely keep your eyes on the sands of Egypt.